It's about that time.
He fucked me with a—
Fucking hate Trump.
You may remember a little while ago, a video was released on my channel titled Jello's Political Apocalypse, during which I discussed a video created by Jello where he tried to motivate people to vote for his party of choice by sort of masquerading it as an unbiased take and presenting information in an inaccurate and intentionally manipulative way to achieve such goals.
This is a message for my American viewers.
I'm gonna say one thing, fuck Trump.
And since then, I've been keeping an eye out for YouTubers discussing politics on their platform. Politics has always been fascinating to me, not necessarily because of the issues themselves or the people involved, but more how those people involved talk about those issues and how social exchanges occur between parties and individuals. I've spent hours upon hours watching political debates and content on YouTube and sites like that, as well as keeping up with politically divided drama communities that I find interesting, which is sort of what I'm going to be talking about today. Pretty much everyone has a political opinion, and that everyone includes YouTubers. Now, these creators are generally pretty socially intelligent people if they manage to get anywhere on this website, as they know or learn how people will react to certain types of content and what content will make them successful, while also balancing the art and creative part. I know it's something that I consider a lot when deciding video topics and what will be best for my channel, but sometimes this can lead to unnecessary pandering towards certain demographics of people, particularly political ones, and it can also lead to people making a fool out of themselves publicly, and plenty of mocking and fuckery will ensue. There are right and wrong ways to handle this, at least if you want to still look good when you come out on the other end, which is the main idea of this video. Keep in mind I won't be talking about YouTubers who have the main focus of their channel on politics like ContraPoints or Paul Joseph Watson, because while it is true that conservatism is the new counterculture, these guys tend to be slightly better at presenting arguments and are more well versed on the topics they discuss because it's their job.
My name is Fantana.
Then there's Hunter Avalone.
Mark Zuckerberg.
He's a story for another day. No, rather, today I'm going to talk about people who have the main focus of their content completely devoid of politics, which brings us to all of these guys. I'm sure a few of you already know who they are, but for the sake of context,
Deport him.
Quinton Reviews, or Quentin Kyle Hoover, is a YouTuber who has become popular by making commentary videos about current drama, internet culture, as well as reviews of mostly children's media. Now, some of you who follow me on Twitter, will probably know that I have a bit of a past with Quentin, and it's mostly irrelevant to the topic of this video, but I feel I should explain myself just to get it out of the way and give you context as to sort of my involvement with him before I explain what he's doing wrong with his channel currently. I advise most of you to skip to this timestamp if you don't care. This is going to take a bit, so bear with me. I used to talk to Quentin quite frequently, and he was one of the first big YouTubers to support me by giving me a shout out on his channel back in January of this year. We remained on pretty good terms, but he began trying to distance himself from the commentary community as a whole because he saw it as a toxic genre, and he unfollowed me a few times on Twitter. I asked initially, and he seemed like he wanted to stay on good terms and offered to do a voice cameo in a video of mine a few times, but after Mr. Enter made a video mostly about me, with me in the thumbnail, Quentin took it upon himself to block me on Twitter and leave a long drawn-out comment saying that he didn't like the direction my channel was going and that he couldn't openly associate with me anymore. Take that as you will. Perhaps the mature thing to do would be to message me like he's someone who knows me, which he was, and just explain, hey, you're acting like a dick, you should stop that, I don't really want to associate with you publicly anymore, instead of making the PR move to just instantly block me, but that's his prerogative, I guess. From the way I see it, he saw my channel as a sinking ship and decided to just cut all ties immediately so as not to be associated, which is pretty fucked if you ask me, as I personally wouldn't stop being friendly with someone just because they did something controversial, especially because he used to support my channel and my content hasn't changed much since then. But whatever, I've gone on long enough about this. What I'm trying to say here is that the bad taste that was left in my mouth from my experience with Quentin has nothing to do with what I'm going to discuss today, and I would still call him out on this stuff if I were still friends with him, because he's acting like an idiot. Despite this, I'll probably get comments just calling me salty because he blocked me, but I've come to accept that, so please be my guest. Leave the comments now before I've even talked about what's wrong with him, and then exit out of the video and go along with your day. Honestly, at first I didn't even want to discuss Quentin in this video, and I made a tweet saying that I wouldn't be making a video about him at all, but I decided to include him in this video anyway, because he serves as a perfect example for everything that can go wrong when discussing politics on YouTube. In recent times, Quentin has become increasingly vocal about his politics on his channel and discussing his thoughts on such things. One example of this was in his second Logan Paul YouTube Red movie review, titled The Thinning, during which he decided to interject a minute-long rant about Donald Trump into the actual review.
So, here's the thing. I fucking hate Trump. He makes every day. He makes all like backwards idiots. And frankly, the fact he got like probably are all backwards idiots. He's ruining people's lives.
There wasn't anything inherently wrong with talking about Trump in the video because Quentin had a sort of theory that the movie could be about Trump in some ways, due to some parallels he could draw between Logan's character and good old Donald. But the issue is he went on a minute-long tangent about why he hates the current president, when it was completely unnecessary and irrelevant to the topic at hand. There's nothing wrong with him liking or disliking Trump. You can have any opinion you want. The issue is that it made the content suffer because of how he interjected it unnecessarily. Recently, he also made a comment in his video about knockoff game reviewers pertaining to Jontron, where he made probably the greatest innovation in modern humor that I have ever seen.
Saying that every angry gamer is trying to be James Rolfe is like saying that every racist gamer is trying to be Jontron.
Wow, you really did a great job of slipping that one in there, Quentin. Overall, it's felt like Quentin has been unnecessarily interjecting his politics into videos that have nothing to do with them, which comes across as him pushing his opinions onto his fanbase, which never, ever looks good. He's also been making plenty of political comments on his Twitter account, which have sparked a decent amount of controversy from commentators on YouTube. So this is going to be a controversial opinion again, but I'm disappointed about PewDiePie deciding to have Ben Shapiro on his channel. Ben Shapiro is a transphobic and occasionally racist egghead. When you have him on your show and humanize his platform, you help him grow. I understand that everyone's going to scream, freedom of speech, Quentin, freedom of speech, but I'm not calling for him to be banned. I just think that when we ignore huge flaws in public figures to make connections, we're selling out to a cult of hatred. It's not worth it. But what's wrong with humanizing someone who is, human? It's also extremely ironic Quentin is criticizing Ben Shapiro for supposedly holding a belief that dehumanizes people and yet proceeds to imply that Ben Shapiro isn't even human. I don't claim to know an awful lot about Ben Shapiro's beliefs, so I can't speak as to if he's actually transphobic or occasionally racist. But it's pretty fucked up to say that because he holds an opinion that you disagree with, that he shouldn't be humanized, pretty much no matter what his beliefs are. Xenophobic people, while you may find them repulsive, in the end, they're entitled to freedom of speech, and while you acknowledge this, you then say that PewDiePie is selling out to a cult of hatred. It's not worth it, and you imply that PewDiePie shouldn't platform him simply because of a few beliefs that he holds that you personally disagree with. Felix isn't exactly selling out to Ben, considering his platform is inherently much larger than this, and we don't know if he even necessarily disagrees with his political opinion. It would be considered selling out if Felix himself disagreed with all of what Ben said and had been vocal about it, but then decided to make a video with him anyway under the circumstances of him gaining something from it. But considering the massive differences in the sizes of their audience, this makes no fucking sense. And additionally, it's not like the video itself had anything to do with Ben's politics, it was about dumb memes, pretty much all of which were mocking Ben and his mannerisms.
Hexagon, and then octagon, and then Obama is gone. And a picture. Oh, this one is a good one. I like this one a lot. Okay, that was epic. Next meme.
Maybe if in this video they discussed why they dislike trans people or talked about immigration or Ben's politics, then this tweet would make sense, but it feels like Quentin's not even talking about this video, and it's hard to believe that he even watched it given how adversarial he was after the fact. Whether he wants to admit it or not, Quentin is suggesting that those he disagrees with shouldn't be humanized or given platforms to speak about their thoughts, purely because of an objective label that he has assigned to them in their politics, whether that is representative of how Ben or anyone else actually feels or not. And additionally, Ben doesn't come across as a particularly hateful person to me. I mean, little Jewish guy who talks about libtards or whatever. Come on, man. Anthony Fantano, owner of the Needle Drop YouTube channel, as well as his second channel, Fantano, and defunct meme channel, That Is The Plan, is a YouTube music critic well known for his reviews of popular albums and delivering his thoughts in an informative and articulate manner. From watching his videos, it's pretty clear that he knows what he's talking about, and even if you don't know a lot about music like myself, his videos are easy to enjoy because of how natural he sounds when delivering his thoughts, and it really just feels like it's one of your nerdy, rhythmically inclined friends talking about music with you. Now, here's what's going on with Melon. In general, he does a much better job than Quentin at managing his political beliefs, even though I think they come from very similar schools of thought. Fantano does a nice job of not inserting his politics into videos unless it's completely necessary and relevant. One time when he did discuss his basic thoughts on Trump and the current political system, it was in a video where he reviewed an anti-Trump album, during which he gave a very thorough and comprehensive summary of what made each track good or not, like he always does.
Deliver the message of the song, and the track is disgustingly patronizing in my opinion toward blue-collar workers and voters who have maybe been recently laid off from their factory job or something because it was...
But he always makes sure to separate, even in this instance, his politics from his actual critical analysis, instrumentals, vocals, and everything else that comes together to make a song good or bad. He's also done an episode of his podcast with popular internet provocateur Sam Hyde, someone who's pretty clearly far right, but Anthony doesn't let Sam's politics get in the way of him enjoying his humor, and he doesn't cancel the podcast because, oh no, he's platforming racist beliefs or anything dumb like that. He's also done various stink pieces about political topics, like his one about Paul Joseph Watson, which I actually enjoyed a lot. Melon has also done a good job of getting himself into some trouble because of the arguments he uses, once again with good old Ben Shapiro, mostly in a video he created titled Cringing with Ben. Now, a lot of people have talked about this video already, and it has a good amount of dislikes, and I feel a decent amount of people actually miss the point of this video. The title of the upload itself is Cringing with Ben, establishing the precedent that this video is more of a goof than something to be taken seriously as political argumentation, and that's exactly what he does in the video.
Beam their propaganda directly into your brain. Now also imagine that they're so sophisticated, they actually get you to pay them to do it. It's Hollywood.
He really just makes fun of Ben, with the arguments coming secondary, and honestly some of them are kind of weak, which is fine, because the main goal of this video isn't actually to make political statements, it's just to make fun of some of the admittedly dumb shit that Ben is trying to point out to his spasticated boomer audience that peruse YouTube and forget that the video they're watching is an unskippable ad. And even if the purpose of this video wasn't just something to mock Ben, it still serves as a good source of political arguments, because Anthony follows each goof or mockery with an actual, kind of solid argument, and gives Ben a chance to talk about why he thinks a certain way.
How is what Hollywood does any different than what this video is trying to do right now? I mean, at least Hollywood isn't trying to sell what it's doing as anything more than, hey, it's fiction, hey, it's entertainment.
While Fantana actually discusses what people's arguments mean and why they are wrong, while making fun of them and how ridiculous he finds them to be, making Ben look like a fool, Quentin shuts Ben down right at the gate and inadvertently makes himself look like a fucking retard, whether that's the reality of the situation or not. However, the problem is that sometimes when Anthony gets criticized for his actual political stances, he tends to respond very poorly and ends up looking like a douchebag. I know he probably doesn't care what I have to say, but if you are seeing this, Big Tony Melon Man, please just listen to what I have to say, because I think it's important to not go down this road that you are on at this moment. You see, when scripted or pre-recorded, Anthony does a very nice job of presenting himself as an intelligent guy capable of integrating humor into his arguments, and overall he does a nice job of it, as I said before. However, when he gets a little angry and passionate, he does not look good.
Can I stop being a coward and just debate 1791L already? Look, 1791L is a disingenuous pussy. He wants to pretend like he's some kind of like intellectual dark web moron and just fucking hang in the shadows and just snipe at me from his social media account. So fuck him, fuck his YouTube channel, fuck his ugly face.
Anthony frequently condescends his viewers and people pointing out fallacies in his arguments, painting them to be desperate for attention, who are only being contrarian to his points in order to be his friend. As a fan of Anthony's content, I find it a little disappointing that he would act this way to genuine fans of him. And, as someone who has done this in the past in somewhat emotional states when I've acted snarky towards people who like my content and were simply pointing out flaws in what I had done, I can definitely say that it doesn't look good and it's not behavior you want to engage in. Obviously, Anthony doesn't owe his audience anything, and he doesn't owe me anything, but his detractors are only going to get more vocal if he continues to talk down to people, pointing out issues with how he responds to criticism. There's nothing wrong with being smug, and there's nothing wrong with being wrong, but when you don't actually say anything constructive or engaging at the same time, you don't look very mature and are revealing your emotional immaturity.
I get it.
You may remember when a little over a year ago, game reviewer Jontron participated in a debate with popular Twitch streamer Destiny, during which he made some pretty ridiculous and unsubstantiated claims about minorities and political issues in the United States. Overall, the entire debate was an embarrassment to John's brand, because he made a number of claims that he could not substantiate on very sensitive political issues.
I understand that I wasn't prepared for a debate of this sort with these kinds of sensitive topics at hand adequately. I was a bit all over the place, and I said a lot of stuff that could be misconstrued in all sorts of ways.
The media backlash was a bit extreme on the situation, yes, and I don't think that John is a Nazi or alt-right by any means, or anything like that. It's clear that some of his beliefs at the time were influenced by far-right ideologies, but regardless of his actual beliefs, this entire situation, to me, serves as an important lesson for any YouTuber who would like to talk about sensitive issues like race. When you're a public figure, the sad reality of your existence is that anything and everything you say will be picked apart to death, and you can't go on a live stream with someone with thousands of people watching when you sound like you're honestly kind of drunk and make extremely polarizing claims with no data to back it up, even if you genuinely think that you're right. And as much as I want to defend John because I like his content a lot, he made himself look like a massive idiot, and there will always be a decent sized group of people who hate him now, which sucks because because had he come better prepared for the debate, he may have been able to at least legitimize some of his opinions and not seem like a tool. But instead, he went headfirst into an argument against someone vastly more skilled at proposing and supporting claims than he could, and it bit him in the ass really fucking hard.
He fucked me!
A common trend you'll see with YouTubers discussing politics is that they will treat issues as if they are more than political, as if this election is the revolution that rises above politics. Recently in the Jello Apocalypse video I picked apart, I failed to really go in depth on how Jello acts like the issues he is discussing transcend traditional politics, when in reality that is anything but the case, and he is simply ascribing a superficial superiority to this particular president, or this particular election, that it really doesn't hold. They act as if this is about more than just parties, it's about racism and xenophobia and fascism, when in reality all of those topics fall under the political umbrella, and whether you like Trump or not, and whether you feel that he's a racist or fascist or not, these things are inherently tied to the current state of politics in the United States, and differing stances. So saying that they're completely separate things is a dumb assertion to make, and telling people that the only right way to vote is to vote Democrat or to vote Republican is also really dumb. You may remember when popular vlogger Casey Neistat did this as well during the election 2 years ago.
That is the nature of a healthy democracy, but this is not that. This is about a megalomaniac who's driven by nothing but ego. A man who cares exactly zero about the people of this country.
No, that's
not how that works, Casey.
This video was one of the worst videos about politics from a YouTuber, which is why it was memed to shit by basically everyone who saw it that wasn't either a diehard Casey fan or a vehement supporter of Hillary at the time. By calling them megalomaniacs and power-hungry and Nazis, you try to dehumanize them and take away their ability to have an opinion. In the words of Quinton Reviews,
But if you're using this kind of argument where you're trying to disarm the other side's right to an opinion instead of actually talking about what they said, well then you're a pussy.
This is especially ironic coming from Quentin, considering that he now refers to people who criticize him as guppies and resorts to name-calling instead of addressing the actual arguments at hand.
Well then you're a pussy.
Insults are fine, as long as you talk about the ideas and why you think they are bad as well. And when you dehumanize people constantly and say that we shouldn't treat their ideas as legitimate because of labels you assign them that are considered taboo, don't be surprised when people start doing the same thing to you.
Guys, we may have fucked up. I don't think that this guy is a character.
You may also remember when Tana Mojo, or whatever her name is, made a video about this gangly green leukemia patient of a man, and how he terrorized her and put her life in danger.
And so the guy looks at me and he wraps his arm around me and he looks in the camera and he goes, say, and it puts his thumbs up and then like blank and he says the N-word, like hard R, N-word, N-word.
And then felt the need to talk about how in some way him saying the N-word is because of Donald Trump or something?
That's what's going to shape our country.
You know you're a stupid nigger, right?
You fucking nigger! Like, I'm not gonna say it, that's not how I am.
This is when we get to pandering. Oftentimes YouTubers will talk about politics to gain points with their audiences and gain support from people who will support their opinions. This is incredibly scummy on a number of levels, and if you do this, then I have no respect for you as a person. Tana's blatant attempts to make an issue political when it has absolutely nothing to do with politics clearly show her trying to make a PR move and attract teenage white chicks who think that they are informed about politics to support her channel. But oftentimes people who try to pander are also the least informed, hence why Tana tried to say that
there are still people that were once slaves that are still alive.
No, Tana, they are not. They are all dead.
So, here's the time asking me, why should you fucking care?
Sometimes I wonder.
Keep in mind that none of these guys are bad people. I know I say that in a lot of my videos, but it's really true. As far as I'm concerned, none of these people are anything more than a little dumb or hypocritical. And I won't say that this made me lose respect for all of these people that I previously liked, but it really does give you a deeper insight into how these people see the world and how honestly fucked up some of their arguments and ways of thinking are. Really what I'm trying to say with this video is that there's nothing wrong with wanting to talk about politics, even on a previously non-political platform, and you can do it however you want. It's really all up to you. But with that, you have to understand that if you make an active effort to invalidate the opinions of others, when you are disingenuous with how important political issues are, when you lie and act like a smug little shit to people who are genuinely your fans and are just pointing out something you did wrong, and if you are intolerant towards others' beliefs and only encourage diversity of race or sexuality instead of diversity of ideas, then you're going to not only push members of your audience away, but you're also going to be memed and mocked to the bitter end, because you look like an idiot. There's no worse fate as a YouTuber, trust me. I've been Turkey Tom, and until next time, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, leave me alone.
Girls look better in a real tight sweater. Girls look better in a real tight sweater.
Hey, I'm talking after the video is over now because I just have some things that I wanted to say, but I hate making update videos because they're sort of boring and dumb and they clog up subscriptions, which I don't want to do more than necessary. So, first of all, I'd like to apologize for how long this video took to make. Honestly, I spent longer on it than I needed to. I just wanted to make it something that I'm really satisfied with in the end and that you guys would enjoy. There will be some changes coming to this channel soon, actually. I'll be making some more review-style stuff coming sometime next year of movies and games, which will not replace my current content, as I'll probably make at least every other video a commentary regardless. But I will be making some different styled stuff, which I know you aren't nearly as excited for as I am, but in any case, I thought it would be a good idea to at least give a few of you a little bit of a heads up before I make any changes. Additionally, I'd like to give a shout out to a good friend of mine and someone whose content making abilities I greatly envy. He makes longer styled videos about video games mostly and incorporates his own pixel art, animations, and amazing editing into them that overall just makes for excellent videos that I cannot recommend enough. Please go check out his latest video, which I will link in the description as well as at the end of this video, and maybe subscribe to him if you find his stuff interesting because he's absolutely great, and the amount of subscribers he has isn't nearly reflective of the quality of his content. It's been a long one, so just know that I appreciate you watching it all the way until the end, and yeah, see you later.
So, here's the thing. I fucking hate Turkey Tom.